last video, we learned quite a bit regarding the message coming from this enigmatic book. We learned how people tend to allow themselves to look on the outside for their salvation, for their answer, for the superhero to come and save them at the last minute. We know this just from observation, but also if we just take a look at what are the big blockbusters in modern society, we'll see that it generally is about superheroes, people coming to save you through some ransom movie, last-minute doomsday, end of the world, group of talented kids or whatnot that are going to come and save the world. So everybody's looking for the answer on the outside, and that's in the movie industry. Now, of course, when you have that kind of unbalanced approach to the inner world and the outer world, meaning we're looking only on the outside toward the male to project outward toward us, and we are the feminine and we're waiting for the outside hero to come and save us, then it creates an imbalance in society. And therefore in music, typically we find the opposite, where people will announce that they are the king of the world and there's no one else as good as they are. They're the best rapper, they're the most sexy, they are the one that's going to steal your wives or your husbands and not flinch. They got lots of money, golden teeth, the best rappers. Essentially, what you have is the opposite. Someone who believes success is measured by how you can be better than someone or something else. And your definition of what is better than is founded or rooted in a nature of debauchery, really, to see how much you can get away with, essentially attaching yourself to the things of this world: money, sex, fame, big houses, fast cars, jet planes, recognition, fame. So this is the world that we have built. Essentially, we built this as a result of the way we understand who we are as human beings and our relationship to the universe, our relationship to God. We've bought into consumerism. We've bought into selling our souls out to find the answer, ignoring the very answer that lies within, becoming as it says in the Exegesis on soul, a whore or prostitute to the world. It asks us to become again as a virgin on the inside, to listen to the pure voice that's within, that really is going to rectify all the problems we have and the imbalances that we have on this planet. The true accomplishment lies within each one of us. And when we're going for the easy things, the things that we think that are going to bring us happiness or fulfillment, whether it be impetuous approach to life or a lustful approach to life, or greedy approach to life, prideful approach to life, or insecure approach to life. These are all things that ultimately will not add anything truly positive to your life nor others or the world at large. Add to the degradation and decadence of anything meaningful and ultimately fulfilling, and perhaps even will lead to destruction of humanity itself, and is actually doing so. Right now we have runaway capitalism that doesn't take into account how many species we've already destroyed in the process, because we have to have all these things. And we think that getting rich and collecting lots and lots of things is a symbol of the very reason we're supposed to be here as human beings. And everybody praises that and looks up to that and longs for that type of lifestyle, not realizing that that's a pathway to destruction. So this is what this book really is about. It's not about women. Now I know it uses the model of women, or the template of man versus woman, how man is the master of the woman. Woman should be a virgin. She should pretty herself and wait for her husband. So the husband comes in, they copulate, and they're happily ever after. And as long as the woman is dutiful and listening to the husband, and being pure to the husband, then the husband will love her. They'll love her happily ever after. Holy matrimony. Now this is a very essential thing to hear, again, as it says in the book itself. It must not be taken literally. In fact, it says that it's dangerous to take it literally, and that it will lead to all kinds of disenfranchisement, victimization, and horror, not only onto women, but the results of that it'll have onto men. So then the question might be, then why use women as the model or your context of speaking? Why would you do this then? Because understanding that people might misunderstand what you're writing about, those that are not careful. The reason this is done is because it is actually energizing. It's synergistic. It is really synergizing the very nature of humankind. It is actually bringing out the worst of humanity to show who we really are, so that we may look at the more evil, the one that wants to divide and conquer, the one that is competitive, the one that is looking for material answers, that already sees it that way. So it allows for that confirmation. And so too, at the same time, it allows that those that understand at a higher level to take from it the true message that was intended from that book, or any of the books in the Bible. It is doing this because this is the truth of how humans are. And so it's not going to speak through some kind of nice little Disney story. It's going to speak through harsh realities of the way man looked at things, particularly at that time. They looked at women as inferior. Women were to be subservient to the husband. The husband was to be the master. She was to be a virgin throughout her entire life. She wasn't supposed to speak in the church. She didn't really have her own opinions or her own autonomy in being. The only way she was able to express herself was subtly and through her husband, trying to maybe gently coerce him or manipulate him behind the scenes. So this is the structure that the Spirit must speak through, because it is the structure by which it speaks to the way things really are. So it's looking at reality as it actually is. Again, the goal is to get you to a place where you have a higher understanding, and you transcend this understanding of male and female being inferior or superior, an actual male-female, physical male-female, but rather understand this is symbolic. They are templates, really, of the way God really works through everything, which is the male and female energy. And we talked about this already. The feminine being the receptacle that receives and forms and shapes the will of the Father. The masculine energy is the one that asserts itself with only it being focused on the bullseye of its will, where it wants to go. And it'll just go like an arrow through the air, destroying everything in its path to hit its bullseye if necessary. But the feminine comes in and makes space to clear everything away, so there is no damage from the arrow that's going toward its target. It's like the bow that is shaping the direction of the arrow, taking it toward the proper direction in order for it to hit its willful target and not miss the mark. And this is what it means to not sin, or to be free of sin. So this inner voice is really ultimately what the exegesis of the soul is asking you to marry, that seed within you that's going to liberate the entire world. When the world aligns up with a different paradigm that isn't focused on money, fame, and fortune, but rather focused on looking at everybody as offering something to the world that God has already placed within them that must be brought forth in order for there to be truly a pleroma, or heaven on earth, then there will be a transformation that will ultimately lead to heaven on earth. Because everybody will be able to bring forth their best selves and focus on the truth of who they are and the essence of who they are, the thing that never disappears, that is spiritual in nature, and that isn't based upon inferior or superior, but a recognition that everybody is co-equal and has something significant to add to the collective. We look past how we value people. It's not based upon how much physical labor you do, how many hours you work, or how much money you make, or how many things you have. We deconstruct the society and we rearrange it toward a society that's around bringing out the human resource, the human value, and looking to cultivate everyone's unique gift to humanity. Then we will begin to see a doing away with homelessness, suffering, hunger, ego, pride. All of these things will begin to dissolve. So this is what this book really is about. It's asking society to marry its inner self, to marry the will of God that's within all of us, to commit ourselves to that, not to the outer world that distracts us, and we become promiscuous to the world, and whore to the world, and prostitute to the world, and we're looking for money in the marketplace, and we're exchanging goods, and we think that that's our purpose. And the more we collect things, and the bigger house we have, and the more gold teeth we have, and the more tattoos we have. You see, this is the society. It'll always be more under that kind of paradigm. You see, now everybody's on a big race to see how many people can get the most tattoos, as though that's somehow impressive, or the most gold teeth. What will it be next? You see, it'll just be a continuation of looking for something else to want to fill the empty space that this society, the vacuous space that society has created for itself. So this is the answer, you see. The answer is to move away from a society that's oriented around materialism, which really is about working yourself till you can't work anymore, till you drop, till all of your vital energies are sapped from you. And that's supposed to be something everybody champions. And, oh, you did a good job. Why? Because you allowed all of your energy to deplete until you become a dried up husk, nearly collapsing. and now you're supposed to enjoy your retirement. You have no energy left. You're hobbling around with aches and pains, and now you're supposed to enjoy your retirement. See, this is the society that we have built. This book is asking you to reconsider that. So this is what the individual here being used as the protagonist in the story comes to realize. She comes to realize that she had been in the marketplace, and she's been seeking out desire everywhere in the marketplace, copulating with everybody with no thought. And then it dawned on her. It led to her being lonely, alone, and empty, and she began to weep and go through a type of repentance and a dark night of the soul. And then eventually she realized that a peace overcame her, and then she realized that she needs to wait for the husband to come so they may have matrimony, holy matrimony. She would instead not prostitute herself to the world, but rather would remain a virgin. Remaining a virgin here is symbolic of not becoming impatient and drawn out by the world, but listening to the inner self, the inner sanctum, the Father, the seed, the will of the Father. That's the seed. Listening to her true nature, going into quietness to find out what is her true purpose for being here. What does she have to offer the world? It's not her body. It's not how attractive she is or isn't, because that will fade, you see. It's really about her marrying herself and harmonizing that part of herself that wants to go out and engage in everything with no thought and no wisdom. The individual that says, wait a minute, yes, all things are permissible, but not all things are prudent. And what am I really brought here for? What is God seated in me? What is my purpose? What is that God asking me to add to the world? Let me focus on that. And when she begins to focus on that, a calmness starts to overtake her. And she starts to understand she has now a purpose, and she doesn't need someone on the outside to save her. She doesn't need to rush into a marriage. She doesn't need to have children to get a sense that she needs fulfillment in life. You see, she sees that God has put it within her own accomplishment and value already. It isn't something she needs to do. It's something that's already within her. It is something she needs to bring forth, not something she needs to do. Now, she will need to do things in order for that to be brought forth, but it isn't doing things that is her, that is who she is. Who she is already is within her. Her value is already intrinsically who she is, and God wants her to bring that forth. So this is what it means for her to become a virgin and to leave the marketplace and stop copulating and being promiscuous with everyone and engaging with the things of the world, but rather go within and follow the things of the Spirit, and that will lead to everything else.